The Knicks are good. Really good. I think the Knicks starting five is the best starting five in the NBA. Every one of those players in that starting lineup can shoot a three at any given moment at any point in the game. Although their offense has looked really shaky this preseason, once their chemistry develops and they learn how to play with each other, they're going to be such a good team and definitely title contenders. Not to mention how good their defense is with Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Cat, and Josh Hart in the starting lineup. And off the bench, a guy like Deuce McBride, who is really underrated as a defender. You even saw throughout the preseason, Jalen Brunson had so much space driving to the basket because of Cat. Being that stretch five, Brunson has so much space to get to the rim, do his floaters, do his layups. He has so much space, more than he's had ever in his career. Even last year, without all that spacing, he had 28 points per game. So just imagine how much better he can be with that spacing. The Knicks are definitely going to be one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league this year. Although Josh Hart might have only had 2 points throughout the whole preseason, we saw last playoffs he can hit a shot at any given moment. And he's really clutch. I think the only major concern with this Knicks roster is what we've seen with Mikal Bridges during the preseason. Now, I don't think it's a big deal considering it is preseason, but it is pretty concerning that he went 2 for 19 from 3, and we saw a change in his jump shot over the offseason. He sort of added like a hitch to his jump shot and also made his release way farther back behind his head than it normally is. And it was really obvious to see the difference. But again, it was preseason, so maybe he's going to figure it out by the time the season starts, and hopefully he'll get back on track to how he normally shoots the ball, which is a really high number, around like 40% throughout his career. But still, he is a solid defender, and he almost won Defensive Player of the Year a couple years ago. He and OG Anunoby are an insane defensive duo on the wing, which is why even if their offense struggles a little bit, their defense can just win games for them. Another key thing about this Knicks roster is their depth on the bench. I mentioned earlier how good of a defender Deuce McBride is, but they have other key players as well on that bench to provide a lot of offense and defense. For example, take a guy like Cam Payne, who is a really solid three-point shooter. Although his form is kind of whack, he is a good three-point shooter, and he can provide a really big spark off the bench. And you have rookies like Tyler Kolek, Pacom Daddier, Ariel Huckporty, who will probably be playing more minutes because Achua got injured to start the season. But going back to Tyler Kolek, that guy is a good player. Like, he can assist, he can make any pass, he always finds the right pass. He's just one of those guys that you want on your team to win a championship. We even saw him play down the stretch. He was really clutch. He made some big time buckets in close games, and overall he's just a really solid player, and definitely someone who should be getting a lot of playtime during the regular season. And Ariel Huckporty, who's definitely going to see the court a lot. They have Preston Achua out, they have Mitchell Robinson out till like January. So really the only guy above him is Jericho Sims, who I think is a worse player than Huckporty overall. I mean, we even saw it during the preseason. We've seen it in past seasons with Jericho Sims. He's not that confident of a player. He doesn't really like to shoot the ball, score the ball, dunk it. But then you see Huckporty during the preseason. He was postering players all the time. He just looked like the way more confident player, and I think he should be the backup center for the Knicks, in my opinion. And then also Pacom Daddier, who's a really good defender, and we saw him play 2 preseason games, and he played phenomenally in both those games. Like, the Knicks have a lot of depth on this team, and they have enough to win a championship, I think. The bench unit looked great during the preseason. They had a lot of chemistry. They were playing a lot of minutes. They had a lot of time together. And overall, they looked like they could play well together, and they gelled together pretty easily, especially because a lot of them played together during the summer league, which kind of transferred over to the preseason this year. So although their starting five might not have the best chemistry right now, they can still rely on their defense, and they can rely on their bench unit to win them games. But then again, that defense relies heavily on OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns, who are both really injury prone, which is one of the biggest things I am scared of for this team, because they have a lot of injury prone players. We have Mitchell Robinson, who's already injured for half the season, OG Anunoby, who missed like half of the season, even more than that when he got to the team last year, and Karl Anthony Towns, who is still an injury-prone player and gets injured very often. That's one of my biggest worries for this team, if not the biggest worry, because last year we saw it in the playoffs. They were so depleted. They had no players playing. They had all their bench players starting. Julius Randle was out, OG Anunoby was out, Mitchell Robinson was out. And if they want to win a championship, that just can't happen. Especially because if they were healthy last playoffs, they would have made a deep run, maybe to the finals or to the Eastern Conference Finals at least. But in order to win a championship, they just gotta stay healthy, or at least just be available in the playoffs. You can miss regular season games, but just be available in the playoffs, and that's how you're going to win the championship. But besides that, I think this Knicks team can in fact win a championship. And I want to talk about Cat again, because his value has been kind of overshadowed by the loss of DiVincenzo and Randall. And also how he hasn't really played his best during this preseason, but he still put up pretty decent numbers, double-doubles in most of his games. Yes, he's been missing a lot of three-pointers, but you can see him in the pick and roll with Jalen Brunson. He's getting to the basket, he's dunking, he's getting so many rebounds. He's still doing the little things that you want him to do for this team. And definitely stuff you haven't seen from a center on the Knicks team in a long time. So while he isn't playing his best right now, this team is only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Mikal Bridges is hopefully also going to get better. And as the season goes on, the whole chemistry of this team is just going to become so much better. And they're going to be such a dangerous team halfway through the season towards the playoffs. They're just going to be one of those teams that you just don't want to play in the playoffs. And definitely title contenders, if not the favorites. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Knicks roster coming into the next season. Let me know what you guys think about this team in the playoffs, rest of the season. If you think maybe they'll win a championship this year, maybe they're still worse than Boston. Maybe there are teams in the West that you might think are better than them and that have a shot at winning the championship over them. Just let me know what you guys think. Any opinions in the comments. I'll respond to every comment. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, see you guys later.